Daredevil Born Again's reference to Officer Morales may have just teased Miles Morales' introduction to the MCU. But before we get into it, if you haven't done so already, please hit the subscribe button, drop a like and comment on the video, and if you're able, please sign up for channel memberships for exclusive content, which really helps us out. Anyway, back to the video. So, much of Daredevil Born Again Episode 3 took place inside a courtroom with Matt and Kirsten trying to prove that Hector Ayala was not guilty of the crimes for which he was falsely accused. As a means of winning the trial, Matt decided to unveil Hector's identity as White Tiger to prove that the man is not a cop killer but instead a hero of the community. This story proves that Hector Ayala is a great addition to Born Again's cast despite his tragic ending in Episode 3. Via this storyline, several Born Again Episode 3 Easter eggs were found, be they more references to the dirty cops now using the Punisher's skull-based logo, or an interesting potential link to one of Marvel's Spider-Man characters. The latter reference came in the form of a mention to one Officer Morales potentially furthering the MCU setup of Miles Morales 8 years after he was first teased. Firstly, it's worth exploring how Officer Morales was referenced in Born Again. After Matt revealed Hector's identity as White Tiger to the jury, he changed his tactics to convince them that the latter was innocent. Given that Hector was falsely accused of killing a cop, the prosecutor's main argument was that the man is someone with a vendetta against the law enforcement of New York. However, Matt and Kirsten delved into the various police reports that chronicled meetings with White Tiger explaining how every cop who came across the vigilante only described him in one way: a hero. Matt and Kirsten begin this defense by exploring a more detailed report from Officer Lucas Barlow that paints Hector in a heroic light. After doing so, Matt remarks there are countless more reports of a similar nature from many NYPD officers. Matt lists some of these cops including Officer Reyes, Officer Wong, Officer Morales, and Officer Grant, leading many to wonder if this included ties to the MCU's Miles Morales. Little else is revealed about Officer Morales, though his alliance with vigilantes like White Tiger tracks with what is known of Jefferson Morales from most iterations of the character. For those unfamiliar with Marvel Comics, the connection between Officer Morales and Miles Morales is familial. The aforementioned Jefferson Davis is the father of Miles in the latter's various Marvel comic stories, as well as movies like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse and Across the Spider-Verse. Jefferson Davis is married to Rio Morales, with the two then having Miles, who later becomes a version of Spider-Man. Despite the different last name of Davis, Born Again could be referencing Miles' father. In recent iterations of Miles' story in Marvel Comics, Jefferson Davis has been known to legally change his name to Jefferson Morales. This was also the case in Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, meaning it would not be a stretch for the character to have done the same in the MCU. Regardless of his name, Jefferson has always been depicted as an NYPD officer, further enforcing the possibility that Born Again has referenced a family member of Spider-Man. If indeed Born Again was referencing Miles Morales' family, it would be the second hint at the character's existence in the MCU. The first came 8 years ago during the story of Spider-Man Homecoming via one small scene. The scene saw Tom Holland's Spider-Man meeting up with Donald Glover's Aaron Davis, the brother of Jefferson Davis. In Marvel Comics, Aaron Davis is also known as the villain the Prowler, with Spider-Man Homecoming showing the character trying to buy weapons to protect his family. Aaron simply states that he wants something low-key to protect himself and his family from unsavory people, not that he is looking for high-tech weaponry. He insists he doesn't want anything too dangerous, as he has a nephew who lives in the city, featuring the first proper reference to Miles in the MCU. 8 years later, in 2025, Born Again may have provided another Miles reference via the mention of his father, with the MCU setting up two important father figures in Miles' life before potentially introducing the hero himself. After Born Again Episode 3's potential reference, the burning question is where Miles Morales could appear in the MCU's future. Admittedly, it's unlikely for Miles to show up in Born Again Seasons 1 and 2, and the MCU is likely to tie his story to Tom Holland's Spider-Man first. Therefore, the story of Spider-Man 4 could see Miles Morales be included, paying off references from both Spider-Man Homecoming and Daredevil Born Again. If not, several other upcoming MCU movies could debut Miles. One of these movies is Avengers Secret Wars. After all, that film will be based on the Marvel Comics storyline of the same name that sees several universes clashing together to create Battleworld. Miles Morales became a permanent resident of the mainline Marvel Comics universe after Secret Wars, meaning the film adaptation could take on a similar route to introduce the character. However, this would render the references to a Miles Morales that already exist in the MCU inert. Therefore, Spider-Man 4 or any other upcoming Spider-Man movies in the MCU are the most likely projects to introduce Miles. That said, it would be a neat subversion of expectations for Daredevil Born Again Season 2 to introduce Miles Morales, given the regular desire of audiences to see a Daredevil Spider-Man team-up. If this was done in the form of Matt Murdock and Miles Morales, Daredevil Born Again's potential references to the latter would be fulfilled.